Okay, you got me framed?
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
Good morning. Welcome to the Sailing Anarchy Key West live report. Today is sponsored by Charleston Race Week and the South Carolina Maritime Foundation. I have with me a guy who doesn't need much of an introduction, but I'll do one anyway. His name is Brad Van Liew. He's got a lot of credibility with us at Sailing Anarchy because he went around the world twice alone, winning the Around Alone in 2004 in Tommy Hilfiger, the Open 50. Brad is the president of the South Carolina Maritime Foundation, which is the organizer and director of Charleston Race Week. Brad, nice to see you.
Good to see you. Good morning.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about Charleston Race Week first. We're down here covering Key West Race Week, obviously, but Charleston Race Week is probably the second biggest regional event in this part of the country, and it's been growing like mad. It's obviously our new home, Charleston, and we love it. But how long ago did you take over Charleston Race Week?
Well, we didn't really take it over. You want me to look at that?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we didn't really take over Charleston Race Week. We actually created a partnership with Cora, the local organizing authority, and they got to the spot where the regatta was big enough that the sort of the management of the finances and the onshore part of the event got a little bit beyond what they had envisioned being able to do. So they continue to manage a lot of the on-the-water activities, and we're trying to grow the scope and the size and the world-class nature of Charleston Race Week on an annual basis.
When you began to work with Cora, what, 4 years ago? 3 years ago, there were 80 or 90, I think, entrants, most of them local. Can you tell us what's happened in the 4 years since then, and what you expect going forward?
Yeah, this will actually be our third time running Charleston Race Week with Cora. It's starting to change shape a lot. We're at 150 plus entries annually now, which is exciting. We're sort of at capacity in the inshore course in the harbor, which is a good location for a lot of the smaller one design classes. Our offshore capabilities are limitless. I think that we'll probably be limited to sort of a 200 boat number for the regatta because of just the support that we can offer here in Charleston. And as we go forward, I think what's already started to change is that the entry the demographic used to be a very local entry. Now people are coming from all over even England and Canada and all over the country. So it's changing the nature of the event from the sailing point of view.
Specifically about the offshore courses, one of the concerns I think that a lot of people raise, and I think it's more perception, but I'll let you address that. But it is 5 or 6 miles to get from the dock side out to the course locations in the ocean. And I mean, I love it out there, and I get out there and sail and surf whenever I can. It's big, it's nice ocean swells. It's usually great sea breeze. But can you address what you guys do to make that ride less of a problem than it seems to be?
Yeah, sure. The transit to offshore is a number of miles. We do have to go all the way out through the shipping lanes and the jetties. It's really when people do come, they realize it's much less of an ordeal than it seems to look like on a chart before you get here. The reason for that is that the facility where we're based with Race Week is as close to the beginning of that channel as you can get at Patriots Point. The other thing that you'll notice as you watch Charleston Race Week over the years is that it moves a little bit every year in its date. And the reason for that is that we always plan the event so that you're going out the jetties with a 3-knot current pushing you out there, and by the time you're coming back at the end of the day of sailing, the current has changed and the flood has started and you get pushed back in. So even if an outboard assisted one design wanted to get out there, it really can happen pretty easily.
It's interesting. I wonder if the Modus 24s would mind racing out there. I know I would probably prefer it. I love racing in the harbor, but it'd be fun to be out there with some swells under your ass,
Yeah, it would. I mean, we debate the Melges 24s constantly, and because of the nature of that class, we allow the competitors to really, make that decision. As long as we can afford to fit everybody on the inshore course, I think they'll probably choose to be inside. But outside racing for those guys could be a whole lot of fun. One of the things that it takes out of the equation is the locals having a bit of knowledge about the currents in the harbor, because there is a lot of current activity inside the harbor.
Brad, you're a Northeast boy. You're a Yankee like me.
I'm a San Diegan.
That's right, you are. You spent some time up in the.
I spent a lot of time in Newport working on boats. That's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. And you're an old boat bum, and obviously you've made real good on your passion. You guys came here for some specific reasons. Can you talk about why you came to Charleston?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I spent a lot of time up in Newport, as you mentioned. A lot of time out in California. Our first round the world campaign we were still based in California. The 1998 Around the Loan started and finished here in Charleston, and that was our first exposure to it. I'd never seen it before, and it's a beautiful place, and we fell in love with it. And when it was time for us to move, the Tommy Project needed a home on the Atlantic because the open boats had gotten so wide that we couldn't truck them anymore. So we needed some place on the Atlantic, and while Newport was the obvious choice, I'm not a winter guy. I do have a lot of family in New England, but I visit in the summer typically. We wanted a home where we could get out of the winter and we could work year-round outside. And a good friend Teddy Turner had started a boat yard here, and he offered us a free home for the Around the Loan project. And we came here and did that project and just decided we loved it and started having kids and needed a beautiful place to raise our kids. So here we are.
After your Around the Loan campaigns, I think your passion and your wife Megan's passion morphed into this this really neat foundation that you guys created and have really grown, called South Carolina Maritime Foundation. As I mentioned, Maritime is the organization that runs Charleston Race Week as well as the Charleston to Bermuda race and some other events. But its mission is very, very specific and focused. Can you tell us where all that money goes that comes from? Where the money that you get out of these events, where does that go? Who does it benefit? And what's the vision of the South Carolina Maritime Foundation?
Yeah, sure. Well, Megan and I were sort of recruited by the board of directors of this organization, and the foundation was formed as a home for, and a group to build and house a traditional sailing schooner that would function as a living classroom, an experiential living experience for the youth of the state of South Carolina. And it needed some a more diverse business plan in effect to be able to afford to do such an expensive endeavor. So while we were focused on trying to provide that experience to the youth, we needed to come up with a part of the business that was a profitable side that could help to benefit people that donate or give marketing dollars to the tall ship. So the Spirit of South Carolina is the name of the tall ship. It was launched last spring, and that business model is all about having maritime related events provided to a wide group of beneficiaries, some of which are the racers at Charleston Race Week. We run tall ships events, visits here, port visits and stuff like that. We have festivals that we run. We have a wide variety of events, including Charleston Race Week, that we use to function as the profitable side of our business to benefit sponsors of the Spirit of South Carolina. So the heart and soul of the organization is the educational benefit that we provide to the youth of our area.
The ship was launched last year, and she's already taken out thousands of students from South Carolina, which has a somewhat troubled educational system. And she's doing trips and bringing incredible experiences to lots of kids. We've gone out, and the boat's beautiful, and we're looking to go out again. And I think that the Spirit will also be out for Charleston Race Week, and everyone will get a chance to see her She'll be docked at Patriots, won't she?
Well, no, she won't be docked at Patriots Point, but we are going to have her out. This event is provided to help benefit the ship, so we're intending to have the ship on site as a platform for spectators and sponsors and stuff like that to be able to watch the different courses. So it'll be a neat twist to Charleston Race Week this year for the competitors to see what it is we're talking about for the first time, because it was launched just after Race Week last year.
Great. Let's get back to your Round Along campaign a little bit, because it interests the hell out of me, and certainly our viewers. But you obviously spent a lot of time, of your life. You spent almost 7 years, I think, altogether in everything doing this, and in a sport, or a part of the sport that is very dominated by Europeans, very dominated by the French and high dollar sponsor programs, something that we just don't see that much of here. I think a lot of our readers would really love to know a few tips on how to make a sponsorship work in the U.S. What big companies look for when they want to throw their weight behind an event or a campaign. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, sure. The sponsorship world in the United States is much different than it is in Europe. As a general rule, European sponsors tend to be much more patient. If you have to find the funding for an adventure sport, which they love a lot more than I think our clients here in the U.S. do, you can get them to pay millions of dollars a year before they start to see the benefit, and you take the time to go build a state-of-the-art Open 60 or Volvo 70. Here in the U.S., that's a very, very difficult proposition because they want a quicker return on their investment. So the key for us has always been with American sponsors to figure out a way to offer an immediate return. And so in our case, in both races that I did around the world, fortunately, the sport had not gotten quite to the level that it's at now, where you absolutely have to have a brand new boat for the race you're most focused on. We were able to refit existing boats and sell the sponsorships after we had invested a significant amount of money. So I think the key, and this is the way that the world works in the U.S. I mean, even for government grants that we get, for example, for the tall ship, we have to spend that money before we get it back from the government, sponsor, or anybody else. So I guess the best advice is find a good backer that believes you can, at the end of the day, pay them back. So
sort of, if you want to make money in yacht racing, if you want to make a small fortune, start with a big one?
Yeah, pretty much, except for you gotta convince your guy that the big fortune that he's given you turns into a bigger one, because it's getting real expensive. Open 60 projects at this point are multi-million-dollar propositions per year. So the competitive nature of that class in Europe is extraordinary. I mean, it's the most sponsored class in sailing, and it's for a reason. It's a very good return on investment. It's a big circuit of races. There's a lot you can do with one boat. It offers a lot of bang for the buck. It's icebergs and crashing and booming and going 40 knots and all that stuff. So it's glitz and glam, dude.
Well, you know what? That's actually a good one. You were talking to me a minute ago. Where's that picture?
For the speaking up?
From Uruguay.
I got a speaking up that I need to use it. I have a PowerPoint for it.
Brad was talking to me a minute ago about this is his first trip around in the balance bar boat. Can you see that?
Okay.
And that's Brad, tell us where that was and what you had gone through to get to that point.
That was coming into Uruguay. Well, I was off the coast of Uruguay right after a restart, and the rigging in the boat had been just sort of stressed out to the point of not being able to stay in the boat when I got rolled upside down at Cape Horn in some pretty serious conditions, 80 knots plus kind of thing. That was a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that your...
The boat gets very dark, by the way, when it's upside down. I didn't realize how dark it gets. I figured that out the hard way.
How long was she upside down for?
Not real long. It deck sort of tossed. You know, I was bare poled at the time, which is why the rig hesitated to go away. But the boat got rolled upside down one direction, and then another swell came through and actually rolled it back up the same way. It was actually right after, a few days after Isabel Officier had lost her boat in a rollover down there.
Yeah, yeah. Fascinating stuff. Was that your most memorable moment of your two campaigns?
No, that was more like the one I'm trying to forget. There were a lot of extraordinary experiences that really led to an amazing collection of memories.
Well, we don't, I spent a lot of time racing on this harbor, and we don't see you out there. Are you gonna get back into it at all? What about your kids? When are we gonna see you racing again?
Oh gosh, it's so funny. I mean, Jeffrey Wargo and I, the guy he was my project manager for the Tommy Hilfiger project, lives here locally as well now. He and I have owned an E-Scout for about 2 years that's never touched. So, it's so funny. I mean, sailing has become such a, I'll never be able to race Charleston Race Week again because I'm event director. Charleston Bermuda. Yes, I go out. I have done a couple of transatlantics. I am training a guy in a class 40 that wants to do some of the European scene. I'll end up doing a double-handed transat with Jaguar with him. I still enjoy voyaging more than I enjoy just racing around the cans. And although I enjoy that as well, I tend to be so busy at work with everything we have going on that there has to be a priority on the kids thing. And the kids aren't at the age yet. They're 3 and 5, and they're just getting to the spot where a boat's even a fun thing for them. Now, my next major boating thing is going to be off the radar screen, I think, because it's probably going to be me taking the family down south. I'd really like to go to cruise, the Beagle Channel and Cape Horn area and stuff. Some of that area really enthralls me.
You just haven't had enough of it yet?
Well, I just got to buzz by it. I want to go actually see it, and go look at the penguins and stuff.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. What is your, we are here for Key West, and we're here in Charleston, but obviously we're in Key West by the time you guys see this.
This is my office in Charleston. Hello from Key West.
But what is, you've done Key West a few times. What's your best memory from Key West Race Week?
I'll tell you, it's not even really racing, probably in Key West. It was a couple of years ago when we had done the Fort Lauderdale to Key West.
Which starts today.
Today, right? Yeah. And we were on a Santa Cruz 70 named Midnight Rider, and with an owner here locally, and we were sort of using that as a training exercise for the upcoming Centennial Newport to Bermuda race, which we did as well. And the day after we got there, we were doing our big crew night out, and way early in the morning, kind of way too many rum drinks kind of thing, and that big old bomb of weather hit with all that wind, and it was like 2 days before Key West, and they had that fetch. The wind was coming from that direction where the fetch into so that the sub base just got pounded. That was the day that Bruce Schwab's boat almost got sunk. We had a boat sink right behind us.
The Kiwi 35 sank.
Sank. That boat was right behind us, and we had to, thankfully, we were up that time of the night. We just took our overindulged selves and ran down to the boat to see what was going on. Man, we lost sails, using them as fenders, and it was just
sobered up quickly though.
Oh yeah, swimming lines out to the pylons wakes you up real quick.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guys, please make sure to come and see us in Charleston. www.charlestonraceweek.com will get you entered in. We've got big one design classes, great parties, Gosling's Rum sponsored fun events, and we love it. It's really cool. We're really happy to be part of it. Happy that you guys brought us on board, and really happy that you believe in sailing anarchy and are helping to support the kind of stuff that we do, trying to just make sailing fun for as many people as we can. So we hope you'll check in on the live threads a little bit and see how it's going. And one more thing is check out www.scmaritime.org. Take a look at the Spirit of Charleston, a gorgeous, gorgeous boat. a beautiful pilot schooner replica that is used for an incredibly good purpose. Come see us in Charleston. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Good talking to you, man. Good luck.
Thanks.
How did that go? That's a weird way to